Hi, and welcome back for another Possum Stamps Design Team project. This is Marla, and today I am featuring a creepy coffee card using the Coffee Besties stamp set as well as Spooky Cupcakes. I'm going to jump right into the project. I did stamp all of my images out onto Bristol Smooth cardstock using a hybrid ink that is good for both watercoloring and Copic marker coloring. I am going to be using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. As you can see, I did add a little bit of a brown. It's a light brown to the top and the bottom of the cozy. I didn't use a lot of color because a little goes a long way with the zigs, and especially when you're using the colorless blender. So I felt like that brown was just a little too yellow. I wanted to add more depth. I have taken a regular brown, so it's just plain brown, and I went down vertically on all of the lines on the cozy. I will come back in and add more to the left and the right side of that brown because I feel like I need a little bit more depth. And then I feel that it's still a little bit too yellow, and I add a little bit more of that brown and I blend it more towards the inside of those lines. And that gives me the depth and the color that I was looking for. The colorless blender on the Bristol Smooth cardstock really moves like butter. It moves that ink like no other. I have used the zigs with water. I have used them straight where I just mix them two different colors together and don't blend anything out. They're fabulous to work with, and I think that they really add a lot to a card. Here I have used some gray markers. I wanted to keep my to-go cup on the white side, but I did want to add a little bit of shadows. So I took a light gray marker underneath the lid of the coffee cup at the top and the bottom of the cozy to the left and the right. At the bottom of the coffee cup, I made a little bit of a curved line and I blended that out with the colorless blender, and that gave me a little bit more depth on that coffee cup. For the pumpkin, I wanted a little bit of a brownish orange, and so I started with a terracotta or a burnt umber. I started with a burnt umber, and then I brought in, I believe it's sanguine, which is the orange. I blended those two colors together with my colorless blender. I cleaned off my colorless blender, and in the front two sections of that pumpkin, I blended the white space, and that gave me that nice highlight. The papers on the right side, those papers were what I was planning on going with. I was planning on using paper on this card, and it was when I started to get to the coffee cup that I realized that I wanted to add a little bit of this green. So for the coffee cup, I started with a light green, and then I will blend that out. Once I blend that out, I add shadowing to the left side of the coffee cup using an olive green yellowish. For the handle of the coffee cup, I'm going to do the same thing. I want to add the darkest shadow where the handle is meeting the coffee cup. So I'll add that dark olive, the olive green yellowish. Boy, that's a mouthful. And I will blend that out towards the center using the light green and the colorless blender. I did want to mention real quickly that Possum Stamps is going to be a super sponsor for the Coffee Lovers blog hop. This time around, the sponsors are the only ones who will be creating a blog. So there will be a blog post on the Possum Stamps blog, and then there will also be a YouTube video. That is September 29th. If you haven't subscribed to the Possum Stamps channel, make sure that you do subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those announcements of how to proceed to win one of those gift cards that are going to be given away. Here I am adding a little bit of brown. I started with the regular brown, and as you can see, it really took on a green tone next to the green. So I'm going to remedy that by bringing in a dark brown and blending that out. And I think that that gives me the brown color that I was looking for. It adds just a little bit more depth to this. For the cupcake icing, because I did have the black spiders that I colored off camera, I did add a little bit of dark gray underneath the pumpkin, and then I just blended that down. That kind of gave it more of that Halloween feel that I was looking for this card. I am going to, off camera, add a little bit of gray to the whipped cream on the top of the Frappuccino right there, as I did with the to-go cup, and that will give me a little bit more of definition. I'm adding some beige right here to the cupcake because I do want a light cupcake. I don't want anything dark. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown to that, and then I'll blend that out. That's an oatmeal marker, so that zig marker is called oatmeal. For the cupcake wrapper, I'm going to start out with a purple violet, and then I'll bring in, I can't remember, I don't think I wrote down the second color that I brought in, but I start blending right here, and I realize that I want a little bit more depth, so I will bring in another purple color, and if I can find what it is, I will link it down below, but I just, for some reason, I can't remember. I don't know why I didn't write that one down. For the spiders, I did end up hand cutting one of the spiders out. The second spider, I made sure to keep the spider web. Those are going to be my creepy little friends. And at the end of this video, I did end up adding some glossy accents. Well, it's actually Nuvo. I think it's called Mountain Mist, and it's the equivalent to glossy accents. Here is a stencil that I created myself, and I had a little bit of black. I did wash the stencil, but I guess I still had a little bit of black that I thought had just seeped in. And so when I added the dried marigold, it made kind of, you see that brown color at the top. So I decided that I wanted to bring in the gathered twigs, and that is, that kind of blended much better together with that mixture of the black and the dried marigold. I do have a mini slimline card that is top folding. It is 3 by 6. And I'm going to start laying out my little pieces, trying to figure out where I want everything. Off camera, I colored some of the candy from the spooky cupcakes and the candy corn. And then from the coffee besties, I did use the espresso beans, and I colored those with that dark brown. And I didn't do any blending on that. I just basically colored it straight up with the zig markers. I want one of my spiders to be on the top of the to-go cup. The other one is going to be in the corner. As I lay this out, I will start gluing everything down. And towards the end, I realized that I just feel like I needed to bring that stencil over a little bit more to the right. I was trying to be more light-handed. I'm pretty heavy-handed when it comes to stencils. And so I was trying to be more light-handed, and I didn't like the way that it looks. So I do end up pulling the spider off that's in the upper right-hand corner and extending that stenciling more to the right. I added a little bit of foam tape to the back of this cupcake, and you're going to see how much I struggle. I'm sorry, I'm a little off camera. I do struggle with this paper, this release paper. I typically don't leave this in. I don't know why I didn't cut this, because you can see it just takes me quite a while to get this release paper off. But once I do, you know I love my dimension, so I am going to add that dimension, and I'm going to pop up that cupcake. I will add the dimension to the spider that's going to be in the upper right hand corner as well. I thought I had hit record, and I'm going to apologize. So I don't have the stamping of my sentiment. I did add the sentiment that says coffee and coffee is always better with a friend because, of course, we have our 2 spider friends, and that was the perfect sentiment. Again, I did some masking, so I masked off the word coffee, and I stamped it using that same black hybrid ink up above the cupcake. And then to the left of this cluster, I will add the rest of the sentiment, masking off the word coffee, which says, is always better with a friend. I had some little coffee colored jewels that I added to the card, and then that was my finished card for the day. So I do apologize again for not having that footage. I thought that I hit record, but apparently I didn't, and it's not something that I can go back and redo. So without redoing the whole entire card. So I want to thank you so much for watching today. Make sure that you come back for the blog hop. And until next time, have a fabulous day. Thanks so much for watching.